Nothing at all.
Do you know anything about that?
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
No, not at all. Nor does it matter.
Do you consider that unethical, or does that happen sometimes after?
I'm assuming, I mean, when we were there the first day training, when, well, we've been here since Friday, but I guess it was Tuesday, maybe? As we were getting done with our workout, I noticed, I guess it was their team or whatever, were boarding up the windows up top, so I was waving to the guy, hi, you know. So I guess, you know, they didn't want anybody or us seeing anything. But, I'm not concerned with watching what he's doing the last week of a fight. Nothing's changing. I'm not going to figure out a new game plan or do something different in 4 days.
Tim, how does Chris win this fight?
By being a master boxer. Chris will win by doing what he does every day in the gym, and just to be real clear, he's going to do the same thing he's done the last 40 times. He hasn't done it 2 or 3 times. He's done it 40 times. It's going to be 41. You know, that's the same thing.
You guys had a lot more questions during the week.
It's funny, but this is going to be the sound of the arena, except the 30 fans that we have. It's going to be quiet time. I appreciate that. Nobody asked me questions on the phone earlier because of the answers, apparently. But yeah, there's no, not a whole lot to say except we will be winning this fight. It's going to be quiet time over here. We're going to go back home and have a nice after party. Boom. And welcome to the Chris Algieri Show.
So when Chris spoke earlier, Manny, and people thought the speed might frighten him, he said actually the thing he was most concerned about was Manny's experience, being able to deal with everything in boxing, like he's seen it all. How can you break through that? What is Chris going to do that he hasn't seen before?
Well, Chris, you know, people haven't seen the best of Chris. The greatest thing about Chris is the better the opposition, the better he is. So the cream of the crop always rises to the top, and that's what Chris is. So Manny does have a lot of experience, and on paper has more experience than Chris. But he's just going to bring out the best in Chris, and the world is going to see 2 vibrant human beings going out and doing what they do. But Chris is the young lion, and he will prevail.
When you're confident of a win, is there any chance of a knockout? Chris doesn't seem to have a knockout.
I truly believe the fight will not go the distance. I believe that Manny's going to go to sleep and go back home and retire. This is. I love Manny. I came up watching him. I'm a lefty. I really admire what he's done in the game. But Chris Algieri is too much. The boxing scene. Just be clear, guys. No one has ever known or seen of anything like Chris Algieri. There's been bits and pieces of people with greatness, but Chris Algieri has the full circle. When you have the full circle and you have the universe on your side, and when you do everything right, you don't cut corners and you're always honest with yourself, this is what happens. And if you notice this, you see the goosebumps. This is what Chris Algieri is giving us goosebumps, and he's about to give the world goosebumps when they see what happens.
Yeah, you know, let me add to that also is we were at the HBO meeting, and you know, one of the things that I was telling them is that, you know, this is my first time with the camp, and they came to Las Vegas, and I live in Las Vegas, so I've had the chance to go in there and work with them and wrap Chris's hands every day. But I just finished last Saturday with Vladimir Klitschko. But as I'm coming back, I'm thinking about Chris and Vladimir, and there's so many parallels together that they're both highly educated. But outside of that, the discipline that they have in the ring, outside of the ring, the motivation, you know, the heart and soul and all that. So I call him a mini Vladimir, you know, and same thing with this young guy. You know, I came into camp and I've known Tim through the martial arts, and I saw him working in camp, and I asked him, I said, well, Tim, you know, how old are you? He's 42 years old, right? But I was super impressed because I've worked with the Emmanuel Stewarts, and I've worked with a lot of the great trainers through the game of boxing and even in the mixed martial arts. And for being 42 years old, he's years ahead of his age when it comes to experience of really being at the A level. So, you know, I'm proud to be with these guys. They are top of the line, and you know, like I say, I don't predict the fights or anything like that, but I know that the preparation that Tim and Chris and the group did was A+. So, you know, we'll see what happens once they get in the ring. That's up to Chris and Manny. So.
Tim, how much does Chris's height and length play into everything that's going to happen on Sunday?
His height and reach play a lot into it. You know, they're fighting at a weight class that's similar, but if you break it down, you know, Manny started his career I think at 112 or 100 and 100 and nothing, and now he's blown up to this size. Chris is realistically 4 weight classes bigger than him. I think that plays a big role when you're as fast and in as great a shape and know how to use your range. So yeah, it plays a huge part.
Kind of like Vladimir Klitschko.
Like Vladimir Klitschko, man. You know?
That just fell on me too. I said, hey, you're right. He's taller, bigger.
What you think, Keith? I mean, the difference. The size difference is this right here. You know what I mean? Look at this guy. I'm not gonna. What I'm gonna do with that?
I think the biggest thing in this, though, is also his mind. You know, the confidence that he brings to the fight, the ring generalship. You know, a lot of people are just going off of one fight because many of you haven't seen him fight in the past, and you're taking a fight from Provatnikov. A lot of people just sit on that one round. You have 12 rounds of boxing. After that one round, or if you watch that fight over and over, what does he get hit with throughout the next 11 rounds? It was a great punch. He got cracked, he got hurt, got up, and he did what? Master boxer. He boxed.
With one eye.
You know, the crowd, they want to see somebody get killed. I mean, bottom line, they want to see a knockout. They want to see somebody get hurt. They want to, when he went down, I'm sure, you know, that was like, yes, you know, the next round, hopefully he gets him out of there. But he's a boxer, you know, and he outboxed Provatnikov that whole fight. This fight, if that's what they're working off of, because he got dropped in the first round, good. Chris is a different fighter every fight. He doesn't fight the same. He's a different fighter every fight. And there's going to be things that are going to surprise all of you.
Tim, is there any other bigger fight than this fight for Chris?
I don't know. This is
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. This is what we have on our plate, and we only eat the food on our plate. We don't talk about food that we don't have right now. And I took 4 protein bars and 2 bananas from over there, and I ain't worried about nothing. I got my snacks for later.
Yeah, got mine right here, man.
Tim, you talked about having to keep Chris from being too aggressive in the ring and wanting to go toe-to-toe.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance of him being lulled into that kind of fight?
Not a possibility. Not a possibility. Our whole thing that Keith and myself spoke to Chris about in January when the fight was booked for Emmanuel Taylor. We said, look, you've been fighting and you've been beating people up the last 37 fights. So we know you know how to beat people up. Now, we have an opportunity to take over the game this year. We're going to go from 0 to 100. We didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, but we said, you need to be the best that you can be in the game of boxing, the art of boxing, and you need to be a master boxer. Before we went out to that fight, we had a great camp in Las Vegas for that fight, but before we went out there, I said to Chris, Chris, you know, we're not fighting tonight. We're going to go out there and we're going to box, right? And he looked at me and said, yeah, Tim, we you know, I'm a box. And he went out there with Emmanuel Taylor in a ring about the size of this table, and he boxed his shoes off against a former Olympian who Chris wasn't supposed to be. You know, he wasn't even supposed to be in a ring with him. You're not supposed to even have their name together. And he shut him down 10-0. So yeah, that's been the most difficult part about his career, to get him to box. But now that he moves well, he knows how to fight. So yeah, he's sticking and moving, and his boxing. This fight could not have come at a better time in his career. So yeah, man, he's ready to be a master boxer. Yeah.
Since you've been around a long time, is there a lack of appreciation for boxing, you know, as far as the styles of hit, not get hit? Everybody wants to see bloodbath.
Oh, sure. Hey, listen, that's what I do. You know, I work with the UFC. Plus, you know,
Right.
People want to see knockouts. They want to see blood. But taking that away, you know, when I first met Chris, we're sitting down because I wrap his hands every day. And, you know, one of the things we're working with the new camp is to get that bond. So we do it through conversation. But he told me that he was a big Oscar De La Hoya fan. and then everything, I visualized everything. I visualized his style, and I looked at him and I said, okay, I could see that, you know. So looking at him, I could appreciate his boxing skills. It was pretty awesome, and you know, I don't know if Tim has mentioned it, but I'll bring it up. You know, the sparring partner was Jose Cepeda, and the coach for him is Robert Alcazar. So Robert Alcazar just happened to be in camp. And I looked at that and I said, wow, that's pretty awesome, because if anything, that's more of an incentive. But to show you the veteran and the experience of this guy here, there was no egos in the camp. He welcomed Robert's suggestions and Robert's opinions and all that, and both of them worked together with Chris and just had him doing his movements and all that, and really just kind of put a lot of armor on in his skills and polished him up. But yeah, to see Chris's skills and his high input contact ratio, to me is very impressive. I think he's bringing boxing back.
It's a new era.
You just mentioned you don't see the fight go in the distance. Visualize how this fight ends. I mean, did he beat Pacquiao up? Does he stop him?
The exact way the fight's gonna end is Chris Algieri doing this once again, and my man Michael Buffer, and the new boom. That's how it's gonna end.
But you know what? You don't see the scenario? How?
No scenario. It's. I don't know. I haven't been able to really come up with what shot's gonna land. What shot's gonna. Is it gonna be this? Is it gonna be that? I just in my vision. I do a lot of visualization also, and I know that Chris is gonna get his hands raised, and I'm gonna hear Michael Buffer's voice again, and then we go into the pool. You know.
Do you guys think Chris Algieri's on his prime right now, or he's still developing as a fighter?
He's always developing. That's why he keeps winning. You know, he is in his prime, but a lot of guys sometimes get a little bit, I don't know, complacent. They just want, you know, they've won. They don't want to learn anymore. They don't want to learn new things, listen to new people, whatever it is. Chris every day is looking to learn and get better and better and better. And after he beats Manny, whoever he fights next, he's going to be better than this fight. He's never, ever. That's, again, where his mind comes back into. Yeah. He's just willing to learn and learn and learn. The second you stop learning, you're done. That's just in life in general. If you think you know everything, you're done.
If you're asking physically, he is. I believe in his prime. He's stronger than he's ever been. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time I'm in camp and he took his shirt off. I looked at his back and I go out, I said, you know, you got the body, you got the body of a swimmer, right? And he said, well, I used to swim competitively, but he has that type of physique. I looked at it right off the bat. You know, his shoulders are this wide, and he just kind of comes down into the pyramid. And we know the pyramid always carries a lot of energy, right? You know, so I looked at that and I was quite impressed on him. And getting to that point, I think mentally, he's definitely at the A level. You know, and I think he's like a sponge. He still knows that he has to absorb more to get to where he has to go. Impressive kid. I'm very, very impressed with him.
What have you guys done the last few days with him?
Last few days, hung out at the pool, ate, hang out.
A little running?
No, yesterday you didn't do anything, just relaxed. Yesterday, relax. Today, make weight, basically, a little bit of weight that he's got to lose later on, and he's just in a great place right now. Body's just nice and relaxed and ready to go.
Coming to the ring around what way?
I would say about 58, 57, somewhere around there maybe.
Do you normally take that day off like you did yesterday? Is that part of your routine, taking the day off?
Always.
Always. He'll do a massage the day, last workout, massage on a Wednesday, and then take off completely, let that body heal.
We have calendars last 3 years, and we do the same thing. Break it down.
I guess on the same lines, that the extra 4 pounds, anything different? You know, do you have extra 4 pounds to work with?
It's great.
Easier. I wish it was at 47. What the weight class is, not a catch weight. You know, should have been at 47.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that happened, but I think that happened because they didn't want Chris to be, you know, 160 pounds.
Too big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a catch, you know, why are you having a catch weight? It's a world title. You know, it's 147 on the dot. If you want to weigh 144, be my guest. but the weight class is 147.
Hey, if I had to fight him, I would make his ass lose as much weight as possible. And
I'm coming down, by the way. I'm coming down. I'm telling him, I'm coming
Hey,
down.
this is the size difference right here. He needs to come down and meet me somewhere.
Does the early start play into anything? I mean, fighting in the morning, do you have to adjust anything?
Yeah, it's perfect. Chris Algieri is a morning person anyway. All of our
hates fighting
sparring,
late.
hates it.
Hates late night fighting. Hates
Our
it.
sparring every day. We spar 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 o'clock. The fight's going to be at our sparring time. It's perfect. Once again, this is a Chris Algieri show. It lines up perfect. Everything goes according to what he needs. That's it. You know.
Yeah, he really doesn't enjoy fighting 12 o'clock at night. He'd rather have it this way before fighting late night.
And he gets to go to the pool after the fight. That's
Gets to
key.
hang out and relax.
That's key.
Tim, you call Chris confident. Freddie Roach calls him cocky. And Freddie Roach seems to be getting quite worked up at this stage with a few comments. What do you read into that?
I read into it because he knows what's going to happen to one of his favorite fighters ever. And honestly, if I was in his shoes, I would be doing the same thing. You know, I would call Chris this and call Chris that. But either if anyone who knows Chris loves Chris and knows he's a great person. If you say something bad about Chris, it's only because either he's fighting somebody that you have, or you're trying to get under his skin. But you know, Freddie knows what this fight is and where Chris is coming from, and I would be barking like he is too.
I think he's still a little bitter from him beating Rottenkoff, to be honest with you. That's still stuck
You see,
on him.
he has some kind of advantage there, having trained the fighter and having seen Chris up close for 12 rounds. He knows Chris pretty well. You see that there's a big advantage there in having. This is now his second fight on the run against him.
No way. This Chris not the same guy. That was Chris in my scale. That was Chris 2 levels ago. Chris is at a 7 on my level of 1 to 10. He fought Provodnikov at a 5. Now he's at a 7. He's still got a couple more notches to go to be the best that I believe he can be. But he's where he needs to be right now. So he's a different fighter than what you saw that night.
How important is it for Chris to establish his jab early? What's he going to do about Manny's hand speed?
Well, it's very important to get that jab working, but it's also his feet, you know. Just making slight little movements. You know, you don't need to make tremendous, huge movements and run all over the ring. An inch here, an inch there makes all the difference. But he's got to, I mean, it's not brains, you know, it's not rocket science here. I mean, you got a guy 5'11" basically against a guy 5'6". That jab is going to be important all night long. And he knows it. And they know it. And it's got to be out there. It's going to be out there, but his feet are going to be just as important.
Who that's got a similar style to Manny, to get Chris's timing off for that kind of thing? Maybe how do you can?
They had brought in Zab Judah, and then what's the other kid?
Jose Zepeda.
Jose Zepeda, 21-0, 18 knockouts, young kid, up-and-coming kid. So, and who else used him? Bradley. Bradley had used the kid for his 2 fights. So, you know, it's hard to get anybody to beat Manny, but you know, you do the best you can.